Welcome back to the Good Success Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Culler, and we got Tom Olson, president of Good Success, sitting on my left right here. He's back from Rhode Island. I have to say it for the next 2 or 3 episodes at least, because we recorded like 6 or 7 that you were in Rhode Island, but it's all good. He's totally and he is signing books right now, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. But before we jump into our stuff, we got Roger Blankenship on the show. What is going on, Roger? How you doing?
Hey guys, a lot of things going on. Staying busy. How about you?
Fantastic. He sounds so amazing.
We're a little bit busy, yes.
I can tell why
he's about ready to go on his honeymoon in 2 weeks to Iceland. So while he's there, he's going to scour the land for real estate deals, and he's going to report back to us live.
I'm staying at Airbnbs.
I know, it's going to be awesome. So we're going to have a podcast with Josh in Iceland, so that's going to be awesome.
I might start our own branch of Good Success in Iceland.
Good Success Iceland. I like it's like a water. I've heard that or something before.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be great. But we're also it's fantastic to have Roger back on the show here. And I was going to say, he's got a perfect radio voice. This is going to be
he does.
Amazing. He does.
So glad to help you out.
There you go. So Roger is the host of a nationally syndicated radio show, which he was actually talking about before we started this interview here. And I'm going to have him chat about it a little bit more because I'm sure he could talk about it a lot more than what I can give it justice. But it's called Flipping America. So Roger is actually out of Atlanta, Georgia. He's also on the Forbes Magazine Real Estate Council, founder of Whitestone Investments, which on your website, according to the website, it says has purchased and sold over 800 properties since 2002. I'm sure that's probably out of date. Maybe we'll see.
801.
Well, we're getting close to 900.
Well, there you go. See, so there you go. That gives it some more justice. But Roger's actually been on the Good Success Podcast as well, episode 88, way back in the day. I mean, that's close to a year ago now. That's a long time. So episode 88 is when we had Roger on. It was a fantastic interview. So guys, go listen to that if you enjoy this interview. It's some great stuff. We talked about how Roger's story of all the experience he's had going through the real estate crash, how he's thrived out of that and really sprung back on his feet. So some great stuff. So but before we get into it, Roger, we're going to come back around to you in just a second and get into the interview. We got some great questions. You guys are not going to want to jump off this interview here. So make sure you pay attention. If you haven't already, make sure you have subscribed to the Good Success Podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and all the podcast platforms. Just go to the platform, search Good Success, and you will find us there. Subscribe, leave us a review if you are able to. We would much appreciate that. Let us know what you think of these podcasts. We would love to hear your thoughts. And then, so Tom is actually signing some more books. Are you all done with those?
I'm done with these.
You only have 4 right there.
Yes.
So I got to send these out.
We need some more orders.
We need more orders.
Some more orders from these, then I can sign some more books.
So Tom is signing books because we're giving this book away for free. It's the Active Turnkey book, The Best Way to Buy Rentals, written by Tom Olson himself in the flesh. He is paying for these books, so it's absolutely for free. All you got to do is go to goodsuccess.com/ATKbook. Pick it up for free. All you got to do is cover shipping costs, and then Tom's paying for it out of his pocket. Some great value that is in this. What more can you ask for? Free signed copy. He's even got a secret message in here that he signed my copy with. So I'm keeping this. You guys can't have this one, but we got some more that Tom's signing. So
the same secret message.
The exact one?
Yep.
I want a new message.
If you want a signed copy, you better go on quickly because I'm not doing this forever.
Man, he's not forever. So pretty soon these are going to be on sale on like Amazon and stuff like that. So we can't sign those.
These are going to be like the signed ones are going to be worth way more.
You'll be able to sell it and buy a new spaceship.
That's right. Or a radio show.
Or a radio show. Awesome. So you guys could go take advantage of that. goodsuccess.com/ATKbook is where you can pick that up. So make sure you take advantage of that. Some awesome stuff that is in there. And then the Good Success Mastermind coming up. The next one is November 8, 9, and 10 in Miami, Florida. We're super excited about that. Got some great members that are a part of the Good Success Mastermind community and some awesome new attendees that are going to be joining us. An exciting time over there in Miami, Florida. 8, 9, and 10. The 7th, we are having a boating activity. So we got a boat. Everybody wanted more networking. So we're like, okay, we'll get a boat. Throw you guys on the boat.
Network than on a boat.
Yeah, we're going to throw you on a boat for 4 hours, and you're just going to network the whole time. So hopefully they enjoy it. I'm sure it's going to be fun.
They may do more than network. I think a little bit of fun might happen on that.
A little bit.
We'll see.
It's a private boat, so what happens on the boat stays on the boat or goes straight to social media.
It goes on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. Either or. You could choose. It's your choice. So just whatever makes you happy. We would appreciate the free publicity, but hey, That's up to you. But anyway, you can check it out at goodsuccess.com/mastermind to learn more about it. We do have you fill out an application because we don't let just anybody in. We have our 4 core values: community, stewardship, growth, and charity, that we vet everybody by, and also the volume of deals that you're doing as well. And so it's a great community that we put together, a great culture. We're very excited about growing this mastermind, on the cusp of going to a full week from the 3-day event. So we're excited about that. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. Go to goodsuccess.com/mastermind. Fill out the application. You'll talk to either myself or Tom, and we'll talk to you then. So then the Community Go-Giver event, so that's June 26, 27, 28. Pre-sale early bird tickets are already on sale. Save a couple $100. We got more details coming out soon, so you guys be on the lookout for that, but we're excited about it. Save a couple $100 for that event. You can go to communitygogiver.com to learn more about that and to purchase your tickets. We have packages for 2 tickets for Airbnbs, for hotels, stuff like that.
And if you want to learn how we are flipping an entire city, the city of Gary, Indiana, come and check us out. We're going to actually go show properties while we're here, and kind of show you how fixing and flipping and how owning rentals and how the low-income housing can really help benefit you, but how we're doing it here and how you guys can be a community go-giver as well.
Roger's flipping America. We're flipping Gary.
Yes, that's true.
We're flipping Gary.
Yes,
says that hashtag Gary, right there.
And we're just a part of Roger's plan to flip
right,
America.
Exactly. We're helping him out here. We're helping them out here. So it's all good. But you guys can go check that out at communitygogiver.com. Like I said, save a couple $100 on the early bird pricing, June 26, 27, 28. We're looking forward to it. More details to come. Without further ado.
Roger wanted to say something about that. We should let him go.
Roger, were you going to say something about that?
No, I was just going to suggest Tom get closer to his microphone.
Well, there you go. So I actually have this one feeding in because of a weird setup that we have that we're still working out. So he might be a little bit quiet to you. So we apologize for that, but we're working it out right now.
That's okay.
We're making
just want to make sure everybody heard him.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think everybody can hear you. I think we're pretty good.
We'll see.
Cool. So, but without further ado, let's jump into the interview. Right. Without further ado, let's jump into the interview. We got Roger Blankenship out of Atlanta, Georgia, from the nationally syndicated radio show Flipping America. So, Roger, we're gonna stop talking. Do us a brief introduction of who you are, what you do. I know that's a loaded question, like that you've been there and done that with so many areas of life. But give us a brief synopsis.
What you do and why you do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm Roger Blankenship. I'm the host of Flipping America. It's a show that started in April of 2017. And on day one, we had 20,000 people logged into a website to listen to us. I didn't know whether that was a good number or not. Now I understand that's a fantastic number. But I'm happy to tell you that once I realized people were actually listening, I devoted myself to putting the best quality content that I could and research and effort into the show. And it's paying off, gentlemen. Last report, we have 300,000 listeners per show 3 times a week. We just basically got discovered by a national network. We're about to sign a deal. Since I haven't signed it, I can't say anything about the details. But they're looking at putting us on 16 more stations nationwide, all of them high-rated stations in their markets, and it'll probably increase our daily listenership to well over 1 million to 2 million people.
Amazing.
Pretty exciting stuff, and it's an awesome responsibility, and it's a privilege for me to be able to represent in this way and to represent the real estate investing community, to talk about investing with character and with ethics and doing the right thing for people, whether they're your tenants or whether they're your buyers. And it's all kind of coming together in a way that we didn't expect. Now, I go back to 2002. People ask me how I got into the business, and I say out of lack of communicable job skills and sheer desperation. I had been in the ministry for 20 years, and it was time for me to make a little change in life. Started out part-time at first, full-time 2006. And from 2006 until now, we have flipped those 800 houses. And I'm the kind of guy that if I get into anything, I get into it hard and heavy, and I go full bore. And we got to the point where we were flipping 100 houses a year. And then along the way, people started asking me to show them how to do this. So we backed off on our total volume to try to get involved in the lives of other people. And now we are teaching people how to fix and flip houses and basically take that as step one on the road to wealth and legacy. We show them also how to buy cash flowing rental properties, how to get involved in passive investing, how to build a business, and how to do that wealth thing where you're planning to leave a legacy and making plans for your children and grandchildren. You know, like we say, leave them enough to do something, but not enough to do nothing.
That's awesome.
I like that.
That's great.
Awesome stuff. So let's jump into the interview then. We got some awesome questions for Roger that I'm really looking forward to hearing the answers to. So we're going to kick this off with private lending. So on your website, you talk about private lending, how you love private lending. So why is it so awesome? I know we've had a couple of people on here that have talked about private lending, but from your perspective, what's so great about it, and how can somebody even like leverage that to achieve maybe their financial goals?
Well, when we talk about private lending, we're talking about lending on real estate. And I know a lot of people that are hard money lenders that call themselves private lenders just because they don't like to be called hard money lenders. But when I think of a private lender, I think of basically partnering with an individual. This is how I got started in the business. I looked at doing a hard money loan, and at 5 points and 15%, I thought that didn't sound like a very good deal once I understood it. So I approached my dad about borrowing some money from him, and he asked me what I was up to. And he said, well, I'll play you one better. I've been wanting to get out of the stock market, and I kind of like real estate. So how about I put up the money, you do the work, and we split the profit. And lo and behold, without even knowing what any of the terminology was, I was into a private lending relationship. Now, in this case, it was an equity partnership, if you really want to get precise about it. But I did my first 500 flips that way, not with my dad's money, but as soon as he made some money, he told his friends, and they started calling me. And the next thing you know, I've got $1 million to buy whatever I want with, and an awful lot of trust and responsibility. And so we just started buying everything in sight that made sense. And that progressed. Once you have a little bit of a reputation and kind of, some people trusting you, it's pretty easy to transition that into other people and pay them an interest rate. This is where it gets interesting, because with people who are willing to make, 8 to 10% on their money, that's a lot less expensive than just splitting the profits 50-50. So it puts more money in your own bottom line. That's how we use private lending. That's how I've used it in the years gone by. Now, I've done hard money loans as well. I've done lines of credit. I've financed deals just about every way you can. And still, my favorite ways are the equity partnership, which we still do a lot of, and what I offer my students. I do equity partnership deals with my students. And but we also put some private lending in place in some of our own deals.
Awesome stuff. You want to expound on that anymore?
I love private lending. You know that.
Yeah.
So I believe that private lending, if you're a private lender, it can be part of your own personal financial freedom plan. We talk about having wealth, having financial freedom, and I think that private lending is one of the easiest ways, as long as what you said is true, that the trust is there. So I have so many people that come to me and like, how do I find a private lender? And I love what you said there, because you basically gave the answer I normally give. I'm like, if you want private lenders, just pay people back. Seriously, like you just pay people back, and enough people will hear about you that you're paying people back, that you'll have all the money than you could possibly ever imagine. Like right now we have 106 lenders in our lenders queue of people that we either have money from or are looking for deals now currently that have just heard about us because of we've paid people back. So, I mean, if you're on the side looking for private money, I think it's a great thing to go after. I love having the private lender in it's almost like a partnership. It isn't a partnership on paper, but it is kind of like that partnership. I love working with individuals, not big banks, and I think it helps reduce your own personal risk if something happens if you have a market correction. But it also, I think on the flip side, if you're the private lender, I think it's also a great way, like you said, to diversify outside of other things that you might see, outside of rentals, even outside of owning other things, but especially out of the stock market, which I believe that people ought to diversify at least a portion of their wealth out of that.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned long term, because there are some people that they don't care to be involved in the flipping game, but if you can get them steady income for years, they'll take 6%. Well, we've got properties that we can fit into that. And you said something, Tom, that made me think, you know what the hardest private loan is? The very first one.
Yeah.
If you get that first one done and you do well with that, the next one will be easy. And after that, it just gets progressively easier.
Yep. You got it.
Interesting. So you have a lot of experience. You've been around the block. You got your radio show. You educate people on flipping real estate. So what are two things that have been key differentiators since you got started in the industry that I mean, maybe you've been applying for a while, but something that you're applying today as well, that you could tell people that maybe you're just getting started into real estate investing or into the real estate industry in general, whether it is private lending or actually flipping houses or doing buy and holds, wholesaling, stuff like that. What are two of the primary things that you would tell people that you've learned that you know now?
Just two.
Just two. That's it.
Well, thing number one is you have to get to the point where you can pull the trigger. So many people, and I speak at RIAs all the time, and I've been a part of local RIAs, and I support what's going on there and the education around this. But so many people are fascinated by this. They're interested in it. They want to do it, and they just can't bring themselves to pull the trigger. They can pull the trigger on training, and they're spending a lot of money on courses. But they go home and they put that on the shelf, and they're looking for that perfect deal. And so I think thing number one is you've got to get yourself into a place where you can pull the trigger. And how do you cure the paralysis of analysis? I'm not 100% sure, but I think that the thing to do here is to get a mentor. If you have something to offer, whether it's time, talent, that is skills, or some money to put into deal, get hooked up with somebody that's doing it and become a part of one of their deals. And I think that'll give you the confidence to pull the trigger on your first one. The second thing, I guess, if there's just two things, is I think you need to learn to move with speed. Speed is especially important in a tight market like this one where it's hard to find deals. And so you need to find ways to streamline your analysis and to speed it up, to get an offer out there. We make offers on properties. We offer probably 15 or 20 offers a day out of our office on properties that we haven't visited. You just don't have time. If you get one accepted, hustle out there and look at it. But we even can do a repair estimate on a property based on looking at a few pictures, the square footage, and the age of the house. And we've got it down to a formula. So you got to have stuff like that to move fast, and moving fast is key.
Very cool. Yeah, absolutely. So staying on the same track of real estate, then we're going to actually switch tracks to something a little bit different. So I scoured your website to see what are some things that Roger talks about. There was a portion that said, here's some topics that I can talk about when I'm on a show or when I'm at a keynote or something like that. So I've got some good stuff coming down the pipe here. Right. So staying on the same the topic of real estate, when it comes down to property management or flipping, which one do you prefer, and which one's more of a sellable business, and why?
That's interesting. Now, if you're talking about a business that you could put together and sell to a third party, that would probably be a property management company. But if you're talking about selling someone on the idea of getting into a business, it's going to be, so many answers to questions are, it depends. It depends a lot on your own personality. For example, if you're trying to sell me on a business opportunity, don't try to sell me property management. Don't try to sell me anything that has a lot of small repetitive tasks, because I'm going to lose interest. I'm the big thinker, visionary kind of a person. That's who I've always been. Tom is like that too. So I would imagine Tom probably would not enjoy doing all the details of landlording a bunch of properties. We do it if we have to, but I hired that out and gave it to a third party as soon as possible. So if a person has a personality that's a little bit more oriented to every detail and really enjoys digging in there and making sure that each little thing is done properly and correctly along the way and pays attention and thinks that way, then property management may be better for them. I also think that you can make quite a bit of money in property management, but I do believe that if money is your objective, you can make more money with less effort in fixing and flipping. So it depends again on what you're looking for.
What are your thoughts on that? Because we have both companies.
Well, I definitely think you can make money on flipping houses. I totally agree with that. I just don't know that the business itself is sellable, because it has to have all your systems. The systems are sellable, but the actual business of fixing and flipping, I don't believe is a sellable business, because it's like a wholesaling business. The wholesaling business doesn't have any intrinsic value that somebody else just has to learn all that as well. However, and I didn't even think about this until recently, when you have these national property management companies coming in and actually buying out smaller property management companies. But it's a very sellable business of property management. I actually don't even believe there's a lot of money in actually property managing. To me, it's more like the customer service arm of what we do for our turnkey rentals, and it helps me stay connected with my buyers, and it helps me make sure that the service that I gave them in the upfront expectation is continued all the way through my property management processes. So, but I think the actual business or the accounts, for instance, are much more sellable on anything that you kind of described as like the monthly repetitive tasks. So it's kind of like anything that has any kind of a model. So for instance, maybe like a gym, you know, if you have a membership based model, it's always more sellable.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. All right, cool. So let's transition from real estate to life. So life. There were some really good topics that Roger has on his website that really intrigued me, but there were a couple that I'm like, those really stand out to me, because for me, one of our messages of good success is how to have the right kind of success. That's what we teach in real estate, using real estate as a vehicle to impact the world and make a difference. So one of the topics was the true meaning of meaning. So that's a very interesting topic. So what is the true meaning of meaning?
It all depends on what is. Is this what where we're going with
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of meaning?
The meaning of meaning. So what is that all about, Roger?
You didn't get that question from my website. Well, anybody can look up the definition of meaning and see a definition of it, but I have spent quite a bit of time thinking about meaning, and I'm not sure I can give you a precise definition of it, but here goes, okay? Mm-hmm. The first thing that I think about when I think about meaning is it's the sense when you're finished with a thing where you can look back and say, oh, that was worth it. If it was worth the effort, worth the time, worth the energy, then there was probably a little bit of meaning in that. That's a beginning point. I think also meaning is wrapped up in the idea of impact, and particularly lasting impact. You know, you can think about all your activities of your life, from brushing your teeth in the morning to, we just came from a networking meeting where I sat with someone and showed them how to put together a subject to deal, and she's going to go out and get her subject to deal done, and she's going to make money and love life. What did I get out of that? I got out of that a little bit of satisfaction knowing that I've helped somebody else along the way. And part of my goal, and one of the things that our marketing team is saying here, is we're training America's next generation of real estate millionaires. Well, I don't really attach a lot of meaning to money, but I think that if there's money available, you can do some meaningful things with it if you choose to do so. And that really comes down to lasting impact. And that's why we support the Foundation for Renewal. And we're not just all about the money. We want to make as much money as we can, but we want to make it so that we can put it into those things that are going to have that lasting impact. And as we wind down the days of our lives, we look back and we say, yeah, that little bit of effort there, that whole lot of effort there, that slogging on through that difficult time there, it was worth it.
Gotcha. So you skimmed over, so I know that you're a part of a few charities or a couple of charities or something like that. Would you be willing to share a little bit about what you're involved with and how you're helping with those?
No, we're really just trying to get it off the ground. But the Foundation for Renewal is designed to work with communities across the country to bring lasting life change and impact to particularly the students and the teenagers in that community by providing a program of release time religious education for the kids in public schools. This is where kids can get out of school for either an hour a week or in some cases an hour a day, go to a nearby off-campus location and have some instruction in the Bible and moral training. And we believe the whole idea behind this is if you have a more moral community, you have a better place to live. And if we can see 25% of the students in a school participate in a program like this, and half of those kids make better decisions with their lives, not necessarily the great big decisions about drugs and sex and all that, but the small decisions about just doing the right thing and the little things and building habits of a stronger ethical foundation in their lives, then ultimately that school will be a better place. And if you have enough better schools, then the community is a better place. And if you have better communities, then you have a better place to live. And this is the legacy we hope to achieve. And as a part of the Foundation for Renewal, we've noticed a need for housing for homeless people. And I have always seen those as separate charities, but in the last year, we've just put them together. And so housing for the homeless is a part of what we do too, particularly with a view to shelter for completely homeless and helpless people who are overseas in third world countries.
That's amazing stuff. I love that. That sounds like a community go-giver.
In that for Gary for Gary. So if you have any information on renewal, just make sure that you send that to us after this. But I'm interested in seeing how that could have a play in our flipping Gary. Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. So let's talk a little bit about freedom then. So when we talk about freedom, we talk about private lending a little bit at the beginning of the show here, and I feel like freedom is a lot of times associated with financial freedom, which makes sense, in some cases. But to you, what does freedom actually mean? And because it can be different things for different people, right? So kind of expound on your thoughts on what the actual, maybe not the word itself, but the whole feeling of freedom actually means for you.
Freedom is an interesting topic, and I guess you really have been on my website, and that's not on the Flipping America website. That's RogerBlankenship.com.
Yes, it is.
Which I don't even talk about that website. I didn't know anybody actually ever went there. And I did a quick Google. I've put stuff on there that I've never gone back and actually published. It's funny because I actually wrote an entire book on the subject of meaning, so I don't think we're going to answer it here in a few minutes. I've not published the book, and I have a series of essays on freedom as well that I haven't published. It started out as journaling, and actually the book on meaning was my teaching my way through the book of Ecclesiastes. And my book is intended to be kind of a modern commentary on Ecclesiastes without calling it that.
Awesome. That's cool. Love it.
The book is called The Good Life. I'm actually waiting till I turn 60 to publish these, because I don't think I'll ever stop learning, but I intend to, when I put these things in print, I don't want to have to go back later and, say I changed my mind.
Yeah. So how much longer do we have till those get published then?
As we speak right now, I'm 59 and a half.
Okay, so we're almost there.
Yeah. I know I don't look it, all right? But yeah, I'll be 60 later on this year.
Right.
So actually, it's just a few months away now to think about it. I'm more than 59. Hey, I could be an AARP.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think Social Security is available for you now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Anyhow.
Self-directed IRA.
Yeah.
Lots of things that happen at 59 and a half.
So I've given a lot of thought to freedom. Of course, I've thought about the type of freedom that we think about with political freedom and economic liberty and financial freedom, and also moral freedom. When people talk about what does it mean to be free, a lot of people are just assuming this means a lack of restraint, but that's really not a definition of freedom. When you define freedom as a lack of restraint, then you have something that's envisioned by the people behind the Purge movies, where anything goes, and instead of for 24 hours, anything goes from now on. That's what happens when you have a lack of restraint. When I talk about freedom, I'm thinking about what does it mean to be able to live in a world where you feel safe? Does that mean that there are restraints? And I know that we have a limited format here, so rather than fleshing out the topic in long form, I'm just going to say this. Meaning and freedom are related because they're connected to the supreme ethic. And the supreme ethic is love God with all your heart, love your neighbor as yourself. If you allow that supreme ethic to be the guide for your life, it's going to naturally restrain your behavior, but you're not going to feel restrained. And instead, you're going to feel free. The French philosopher observed the, revolutionary America and said that America is great because America is good. And if America ceases to be good, America will cease to be great. And, you can quote, and I'm not prepared to do this right now, but I don't have my notes in front of me, but you could quote a number of philosophers that point out the fact that in the absence of a self-governed moral people, the only way to provide safety is a police state. And really, you can't have it any other way. Either the people have that self-restraint because of some sort of deeper moral sense, or the police have to govern every step of your lives just to keep the people from tearing each other apart. And survival of the fittest is an unfortunate idea, because even the people who preach survival of the fittest don't actually believe it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be concerned about the shellfish that are going to be damaged when we build some bridge. But we are concerned about those shellfish. If you're a true survival of the fittest, you would say, well, if they were that strong and tough, they could survive somewhere else besides in this one creek bed, you know. And we wouldn't care about the pandas because they're too stupid to eat anything else. We wouldn't worry about pandas going extinct. But we do worry about that because we do not actually believe, none of us actually believe in survival of the fittest. We almost instinctively, when it comes to animals, we believe in merciful and care, that caring kind of approach. Well, I would just like to see humans adopt that approach toward other humans. That doesn't necessarily mean that we give away all of our hard-earned money to just anybody that's walking by, because actually that may not be the most loving thing toward them. That may not be what they need the most. But if every person listening to this right now would start living their life guided by an ethic of love, when you think about the ethic of love, it really would shape everything that you do if you can keep yourself focused on it long enough. Now, no one's going to be able to focus on that 24/7. So what do? You focus on it while you can, and then you get busy doing your life and things, and then you come back to it. And after a while, and it's going to take months and even years, your behavior can be shaped. Your habits can be changed. And the way that you treat people will become a reflex action that you don't even have to think about, because you have learned to treat people in a loving way, in a way that is best for them. That doesn't mean that you're sugarcoating the truth. It sometimes means you're making the hard decision and you're saying things that are difficult to hear, but that honesty is what they need right then. It doesn't mean that you never discipline your children. In fact, it means that you consistently discipline your children, but you're shaping their behavior in a loving and gracious way. You're not just beating them because you're frustrated. All of these things would portend a free society, a society where all of us could walk the streets openly, because no one is going to come and take from us. Of course, that's not the society that we live in, because we are not truly free.
Interesting.
I think true freedom actually comes from discipline, not from trying to get away from being disciplined. And I think I love what he said there. Like our number one core value is charity, which to us means love. And if you govern everything with that as your premise for everything, and that's why you do what you do, you are going to be kind to people. But so you're also going to do the right thing, which sometimes that means you have to discipline, you have to encourage, you have to correct, but you have to do it in the right way and in the right manner. So
I would say also that this is not going to come from external forces. It's only going to come from within. Because as long as, I grew up in a very strict environment with strict parents and a strict home and a strict church and all of those things. I don't have any bad feelings about that. My parents were doing the best they could with what they knew how to do. And I love them, admire them, and respect them. But I was not free. I was under the thumb. Okay? True freedom comes when there's something inside of you that prompts this kind of behavior. That's when you're free. For example, somebody has said, seek the filling of the Holy Spirit. And if you're filled with the Holy Spirit, then do whatever you want, because then what you want is going to be guided by an inner force.
So tying that back to real estate, is there any way that so all that stuff's fantastic, and that's what we really encompass with the whole community go-giver idea that we have here. So obviously Flipping America is probably built on this foundation of freedom that you have here. I'm not 100% sure about that, but in what way can you tie all that back that you just talked about back to real estate and how people can run their businesses, or even like take action on Flipping America, helping you with that whole thought, or helping us with the community go-giver and Flipping Gary and that kind of thing?
Well, the first thing I guess I see, right from the very beginning, when we got into this business, some of the people that I was listening to and were telling me what to do in these houses were saying, "Oh, well, you don't have to do that because they won't notice that till 2 or 3 years later before it actually breaks, or just paint over that problem, just cover that up." And right from the beginning, that's not the way I wanted to conduct myself. And even had a fairly heated discussion with a fellow Christian brother about this, his argument was, "You're spending an extra $1,000 or so on every house, and that's not good stewardship, my friend." And what I'm saying is, I'm spending the extra money to deliver a quality product to people that I will probably never meet and certainly not know, but I am doing the right thing by them, and I am operating on the golden rule. Now, if you listen to my show, you never hear me talk about this stuff. It's not because I'm ashamed of it. It's because I'm determined that the way that I conduct myself and my business, it becomes apparent that there's some deep down moral compass that is providing a direction for the way that I interact with people, the way that I do my rehabs, the way that I talk to lenders and creditors and partners. All of that is guided by a deep inside ethic. And if people hang around me enough, from time to time, they ask, "Why is it you do the things that you do?" Gives me the perfect opportunity to answer.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's why we do what we do, because I think that there's not enough people in real estate that are really asking those questions. Why is it? How, like too many people are teaching how do you do fix and flip? How do you go out and do this stuff? And I don't think enough people are talking about why you do it. And at the end, like, are you really being a good steward of what you've been given, as that opportunity that you've been given? And are you like giving that next opportunity, or like you said, a better house to that person that's going to live in the house, and really it's going to be to the community itself that you're serving. So I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know it's true that the ethics that you even talked about there, I know my question was specifically towards how applying that into business or in real estate or whatever, but that goes for every area of your life. It seems like that's what you just talked about. Like, the first time I met you was at a Think Realty conference, but we didn't even start talking about real estate first. We talked about how you played basketball against our school, against Hammond, or I think you were in a tournament that Hammond Baptist was a part of as well. And that's how we start our conversation. And right from the get, I looked and told Jared, I'm like we need to get to know this guy. Like, he's a pretty cool guy. He's got some really good ethics about him. He carries himself well. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I played in that basketball tournament before you were born.
That's true. Was it before you were born? Probably not.
Probably not before I was
born. Not
1974, my man.
Oh, that was before I was born.
Man, that's awesome. Well, cool. So, but that's the whole point there, is that the ethics that you talked about, and the way you carry yourself and the way you apply, like you said, love, is not just business. It's not just real estate. It's everything that you do. So,
it seems a little hokey. It seems a little weird to say it that way. Jesus was asked, what's the greatest commandment? He said, "Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength." Then he added on, the second is like the first: love your neighbor as yourself. And it sounds, when I say it, it sounds a little bit like some hippy dippy message from my generation, from the 60s and 70s. What the world needs now is love, sweet love, blah, 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 blah. And, we could talk for a while about what that actually means, but if we could all just get into our mind, just treat other people the way you want to be treated. And when you look at something that's wrong in the world, boy, you don't have to look far to see things that are wrong in this world. Look beyond these things that people may be doing, and look at hearts. Look inside and see if there is a way that God loves that person who's doing that, and see, maybe just imagine what that person has been through, the pain that they've been through to put them in the situation that they're in. Not trying to make excuses for what they're doing, but just try to find a way to show love toward them, even when they don't deserve it, because we've all received love that we don't deserve.
That's awesome stuff. I love that. Is that going to be in your books? that you're coming out with?
Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. Make sure you shoot me a text message when that comes out, and we'll have you back on the show to talk about it and make sure that we promote it and everything.
That's so far on the back burner, man. The book has been written for years, but I haven't even published the essays, and I guess maybe you're motivating me to go. I have been thinking about it lately, getting back over to rogerblankenship.com. But all the content that gets posted on Flipping America Network is from me as well. Yeah. And we got quite a few things going on here.
Awesome stuff. So we're going to have to wrap this up with a couple quick questions here that we ask every interviewee that's on the show. We actually started doing this after we had Roger on the show, episode 88. So I'm looking forward to these answers for these last two questions. So good success means a lot to us. It comes from Joshua 1:8, talks about the type of success. And so we've already, we talk about what good success is all about and why we do it. I mean, we've been talking about that a little bit on the radio show here, or the your radio show, our podcast here. For good success, when you hear that term, because you know us a little bit, you've known us for about a year now. We met you at Atlanta Think Realty last year. So when you hear the term good success, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What do you think to you? What does good success actually mean?
Well, this probably wouldn't surprise you guys, but it may surprise some people. I don't necessarily equate success with money. Money is one of those things that can be an indicator of your success, but not necessarily. When I think of good success, I think of really the way before you, just the path that you're going, things just seem to fall into place. And what you're doing is blessed, not regardless of your goals, but sometimes in spite of our goals. The old saying, if you want to make God laugh, just tell him your plans. But as you continue to move on through your life, you find ease, you find enjoyment, whatever your hand finds to do, you do it with all your might, and then you see the fruit of those labors. That's good success. And along the way, if you can make a difference in people's lives, that's a good thing. A lot of it depends on what it is you're shooting for. Where does money play into all of this? If you can make money in the process and you've already got it in your heart to make a difference, then that money can help grow your success in making a difference.
Love it. Perfection. So you got to leave our audience with one thing. So whether that's a quote, a thought, piece of advice, a resource you use, something you learned recently, maybe a book or something like that. You got to leave our audience with one thing. What would that be?
Doesn't matter what the market is doing. There's opportunity everywhere. You just got to look for it.
Awesome. Perfect. Go look for opportunity.
Opportunistic.
That's
right.
Yeah, there you go. We talked about that a couple episodes ago.
Yes.
Sweet. So, Roger, we appreciate you being on the show, man. This is a great interview. We appreciate you coming back. We went a little bit deeper into things outside of real estate, but can apply to real estate as well. So, some great stuff. We appreciate you being on. We look forward to having you back soon.
Great. Glad to do it.
So, Roger, if our audience would like to get a hold of you, how would they do so? How do they find you? Tell us a little bit more about the radio. How do they find those things online? RogerBlankenship.com. We'll also tag all that stuff. But if you have any events coming up or anything that you'd like to tag for our audience, feel free to do so.
Okay, sure. Thanks. Of course, you can see behind me, the website is flippingamericanetwork.com, and that's available to you 24/7. A ton of resources there. Not just about flipping houses. We do teach flipping houses, but we teach the entire real estate game at some point or another. We've got a thing coming up November 2nd and 3rd here in Atlanta called Flip Starter. This is how we get you started on the process of fixing and flipping houses. And through Saturday, October the 6th, I'm not sure when you're putting this out, but we've got an early bird special going on. The seminar is Friday night and Saturday all day. It's $199, but through Saturday you can come for $97 if you jump on the website and reserve. Also, we've got $120 off the hotel room for people that have to come in from out of town. All that information is on the website and it's available there. We're on social media, and Josh, as thorough as you are, you ought to be following us on social media at Flipping America on Twitter and Instagram, because we post a ton of stuff, resources, interesting articles. Some of it's a little clickbait too, like some professional athlete has listed their home for sale, stuff that we don't have time to get to on the show, but also every article that we talk about on the show, we post on social media as well. Plus, other little inspirational things and videos. We got a new series coming out, just some 30-second and 60-second shorts. So follow us on social media at Flipping America. And as always, if you have any kind of question about real estate at all, even if it's not investing, maybe just you're thinking about buying a house, send them to questions@flippingamericanetwork.com. Our team looks at it and we answer every question. We have answered every question that's ever come into us. And the ones that have a broad appeal, we'll answer it on the show.
That is awesome stuff. Some valuable stuff. So make sure you guys go check that out. Again, like Tom said, we're going to have that linked in the comment section if you're on Facebook right now watching the premiere. If not, then we'll make sure that we get that out to you guys as well. We have emails going out with all these links as well. So awesome stuff. Well, cool. We appreciate you. And that website is flippingamericanetwork.com.
Right.
Correct? Okay. Awesome stuff. So if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you check that out. Again, that's flippingamericanetwork.com, where you can learn about all that stuff.
Yes. Thank you for that, Roger. And thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So that is going to do it for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening in. And make sure, if you're not already, make sure you are subscribed to the Good Success Podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, all the podcast platforms. Just go to the platform, search for Good Success. Subscribe there. Leave us a review if you're able to. We would appreciate if you would do that. And then we got signed copies of the Active Turnkey book, The Best Way to Buy Rentals by Tom Olson himself. He signed my copy, and he's got a bunch of these books over here that he's signed already. So you can pick this up for free at goodsuccess.com/ATKbook. And Tom's paying for it himself. You guys just have to cover shipping and handling, and that is it. And you guys can get that. Some awesome value that is in there, so make sure you take advantage of that. Again, that's goodsuccess.com/ATKbook. And then the Good Success Mastermind coming up November 8, 9, and 10 in Miami, Florida. We're very excited about that. If you guys are interested, go to goodsuccess.com/mastermind to learn more about it. We have a application that you need to fill out there. And then once you fill that out, then you'll talk to either myself or Tom, and we'll chat with you there. And that is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for joining in. And remember to be a conduit, not a bucket.
Work to have to give.
Catch you guys on the next one.